Okay, so first of all, Ryan, thanks for the review. And based on your ideas, what I did is basically re-implemented new builder APIs internally for the format models. So Parquet format models has an internal Parquet write builder and Parquet read builder, which is using the original builders which are
Internally.
stored in the Parquet. But basically, it helped us to keep the parameterized version of the API, which I think it's a very big win, and we don't have to tackle with moving the old API to the new one. We're just hiding that, and if we decide to not want the old APIs, we can do it ourselves or later in different PR.
Okay.
So I'm very happy with this solution. It is a little bit of code duplication with the calls and whatnot, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
After I did this stuff, I rebased the proof of concept stuff, and it turns out there were a slight issue with the Parquet native encryption. In this case, the native encryption was relying on getting the native encrypted output file in the writer, and relied on that to make sure that this is the Hadoop output file. This has the configuration there and whatnot. Mm-hmm. This is I solved this by making the simple, how does it called? It is called the standard encryption encrypted output file to basically return itself for the encrypted output file. I have a separate PR there.
Okay. I'm surprised that we needed to change anything that the existing builder does. I would expect that to basically flow through the exact same way, unless there was a difference between how like Avro and Parquet are doing it.
So basically, Parquet, so let's start from the beginning. From the 5-writer factory, we are receiving an encrypted output file. So not the output file itself, but the encrypted output file. And we can give this encrypted output file to the Parquet writer, and it will do some magic around, okay, this is an instance of native encrypted output file, then use it this way. If it's just an output file, use it a different way. Mm-hmm. And we did that in the old code. And the new code, we are going through the common interfaces. And here, what we can do, either we say that duplicate this magic internally in our code, or we just say that, okay, give me the normal output file, and I will give it to the Parquet.
Okay. So let me see. I've got this at least pulled up in Parquet. So we've got, this is the Parquet class. And for example, the write builder, we've got 2 methods to create the write builder. Sorry, here. So we've got one that takes output file and calls the other one.
Yes.
Right, if it's an encrypted output file. And then one that takes an encrypted output file. So which one of these are we calling? Do you remember?
We were calling the normal one.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
And we call the file.encrypted output file outside. Because you see, the format model API has only the output file as an input parameter for the writer. and not the encrypted output file.
Okay, and so this would need to happen, basically this, that does kind of make sense. So the encrypted output file, if I remember correctly, so we are passing an output file, which, if there's an encryption manager, is already configured with encryption.
Or it is just a standard output file if there is no encryption manager. So
yes.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, so we pass the output file here, and then we basically do need to still check if it's an encrypted output file, then, and this isn't something that needs to happen in Avro, because we grab the encryption information and then the plain output file.
So there are two kinds of...
we configure everything.
So there, if I understand Gidon's comment correctly, we have two kinds of encrypted output files currently. The native encrypted output file, which is Parquet, or the data files, when we need to set the file encryption key and push down it to the file format like Parquet, so it can natively encrypt the data file, or for the metadata.
So that we do have two, but it's actually behaviors. So there are file formats that support native encryption, and there are file formats that get wrapped in encryption. So Avro gets wrapped. So you pass basically a output file for Avro, and you've already created the encrypted output file, right? When that output file has a new output created, it automatically encrypts anything going through that output. That's why so for Avro, we just pass it through, I believe. Here, what we do is we detect that this is something that can configure native encryption. And then we, instead of passing the encrypted stream, we pass the underlying output file and the encryption information. So I agree that we should be calling with output file, but I think that we still need something that does essentially what this method is doing and says, okay, if I have a native encrypted output file, then basically use the use it to configure Parquet. This will also fall back to just configuring, writing the output file with a encrypted stream.
Shouldn't we push this responsibility, this decision to down to Parquet?
So yes, if we can push this down to Parquet, I think that still makes sense. But the way that we were doing it, at least here, is using the right methods to create this. So I think what we should do is basically call this method to create the inner builder.
And we are doing that.
Okay, and then things should work, I believe, because any output file that you pass to this is going to get handled properly, right? If it's an encrypted output file, we will pass the one that pass it to the method that handles encryption, and then that will configure native encryption if we can get the native encryption information from the output file.
So we had an issue here. So basically, what I did is with the 5-writer factory. So the outermost API for us,
yeah,
has an input of encrypted output file.
Okay.
And this factory basically creates the writer using calling the encrypting output file method on this encrypted output file, so we can call the write with the output file.
So yes, it should not be calling this itself, I don't think, because this should only be called if you're using the...
Peter, do you want to share your screen with
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Okay, so let's start from here. Is it okay? So this is file writer factory. So file writer factory has an encrypted output file, and then the format model, the format model registry does is fetches the factory, finds the factory, and calls this one. And this is what Ryan's saying, that probably we shouldn't do this one.
Yeah, I think we should just pass the output file as we have it, right?
Output file is an encrypted output file. So the factory here then needs to have the encrypted output file instead of the output file.
I think that works. I mean, if what we're trying to match the behavior of uses an encrypting output file, then it makes sense to do that rather than trying to convert back and forth.
Again, please. Sorry, I didn't get this.
So I would say that rather than trying to take an encrypting output file, change it to an output file, and then move it back to an encrypted output file, and detect across those boundaries, it would be better just to pass the same thing that we get in the whole way through.
So you are suggesting that this should be the API instead then?
I think so. I would want to. I will have to take a closer look at that once we once the PR is open. But it doesn't make sense to me to call encrypting output file to make it through the API.
Actually, I had that version previously, so it is working. We can do that one. In this case, it's a little bit strange for me that it is input file and this one is encrypted output file.
Okay, well, what is oh, I guess the writer factory is different. I mean, we can take a look at it and try to change this, but for right now, what I'm thinking is probably, I mean, this is all in core, right? So it's not that big of a deal if we need to, you know, either add a second version that takes an input file, or sorry, output file, or if we were to,
yeah, but
yeah, because you can always take an output file and turn it into an encrypted output file.
The thing is, this is it's probably against the core design of the encryption, but this is the only change which is needed. So for the standard encryption manager, encrypting output files, since it is already a native encrypted output file. Sorry, I am trying to find so native. This is already a native encryption output file. So basically, it has all of the methods for the output file. It could return this itself for the encrypting output file.
I understand that it's probably correct when it gets called through here, but is it always correct?
I'm looking for you and Gidon for this, to be honest, because
I mean, the easiest solution is to not change anything. I think that's the fastest thing. Changes here, we would need to make sure are safe.
Tests are not failing. This is the only thing I can say at this point.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, tests verify a lot of things, but you know, making sure that we're exercising the API correctly, I think is an important part of reviewing. And the encryption API is just a bit confusing because you have to keep in mind what's wrapping what, and it's just a little difficult. So I would say, like, the fastest way to move forward is definitely to not change the type that we pass through the builders.
Okay. Anybody else?
And like I said, I think that we probably want to do the fastest way.
I definitely would like to.
Yeah, like I just want to get this done. And the nice thing is that you can usually adapt between encrypted output file and output file. So if we need to add a second one here, right, like encrypted output file is a more specific interface. So by writing everything to encrypted output file, we should be able to, have a very clear and correct implementation. We can always, make a generic output file that tests and like creates a plain encrypted stream or something.
Okay, a quick question. Do we need similar things for the input files?
I think this is something that we definitely need to look into during review. But if I don't think so, because the encryption manager is responsible for generating key material in the output file case. So we take an output file and we combine that with key material to produce an encrypted output file. On the read path, we take an input file and then use key material from the data file instance to create the stream. So I think we have to pass it in with the output file on the right side, but we get the key material from what is actually being read on the read side.
Okay, cool. I can definitely be able to do this one soon because I already had this version.
Great. Yeah, hopefully that's a pretty minor change.
Yeah, my question is there anything else on the API? Is there any other objections or whatnot or ideas?
So I need to go through and I think take a closer look, or basically do another round of review. I will probably do that solely with the Spark implementation, and ignore sort of the Flink implementation because there are a lot of changing details there. But my next review, which will be this week, unfortunately tomorrow's a holiday, but I'll try and get to it today, and if not today, Thursday. I want to go through just in detail the whole thing.
Okay, you want to have review the proof of concept implementation as well? We would like to go that
I'm just going to take a look at the specific changes in Spark on down to Parquet and Avro. But yeah, I think that makes sense, and hopefully, like that part. I know the whole thing is really huge, but I don't think that like a single engine implementation and the core changes is too bad. So I'm going to try and take a look at that. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, drop me a message if you have any questions.
Will do. And yeah, thank you for for all your work in this area. Let's get this done.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Questions? Ideas? Okay, cool. Then I will give you back to your half an hour back, and you can use it for review or whatnot.
Great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.